Greetings, dear ones. Happy December 13th. And it's a very beautiful, bright, sunny, but very cold day here on the East Coast. And I want to welcome everyone here, hopefully on your lunch hour, or maybe you have the day off. Today's theme, and this is an overall theme, a transpersonal theme, meaning that whatever is going on individually in our collective consciousness is also being reflected out in the world and even in the universe. So, this week and maybe a little longer, about 10 days, the collective consciousness theme has been surrounding protection, surrounding feeling secure and safe, which many people are experiencing the opposite right now for many different reasons that we'll talk about in a little bit. But I think it's very, very interesting. The timing of today's talk is on Friday the 13th, where many people feel that there is danger or there are threats by unlucky events. And while others feel it to be a completely wonderful and fortunate day or a day of good fortune. And so those beliefs in danger, in this case from unlucky events, are created by our ancestry, our cultures, our own personal experience, and the building of one upon the other of those experiences. For example, if you have previously had bad luck on, quote unquote, bad luck on Friday the 13th, then you will tend to hold that in your field. You will tend to expect that. And so we've created talisman and different items or different actions to take to ward off or to protect from those unlucky or unfortunate events. And all of that builds the deep belief and experience in unlucky events. And so that's what you will have. That's what you will encounter. So, in other words, our beliefs, whether they are our own from our personal experience, or whether they are from our lineage, or whether they are from our culture, whether the culture we're living in currently, or from, throughout our ancestry. So, those are deeply embedded in us, not just about luck, but certainly about what we're experiencing in the world. And again, that comes from our own experience, our own personal encounters as a child, patterning, the reactions and the actions done by our family, particularly and primarily our parents. And again, this isn't to blame them, but those were the parameters that you chose as a soul to explore. Not just this life, this human experience, this planet, but the universe itself. And whether you come from a belief of or a perspective where you are the universe and the universe is inside of you, which is what the perspective of this work is, or whether you feel we are a collective creating this reality of this universe, either way, it is here and available to us. As a soul, we have complete and utter free will. And so we can create the life, the individual exploratory journey that we desire, or again, feel those limitations and experience what it is to forget that we are one within the one. So let me back up a little bit, because the theme of protection is very interesting. It has very varied experiences and varied forms. And protection is something that we feel we need when there is a danger, or whether it's even a perceived danger or a quote unquote real danger, whether it's in our own personal life or on a larger scale. So, oftentimes, certainly in the, let's call it the healing world, the spiritual new age world, there is a belief in creating protections from bad energies, other people's energies, um, thinking negatively, being in negativity, which I do not prescribe to. For my experience is that when you create protections, whether it's a bubble around you, whether it's a shield, whether it's utilizing, again, items, talisman, amulets, whatever, for protection, you're actually strengthening the polarity between safety or security and danger or assault, attack. And again, from the perspective of this work, that is all within you. That universe is within you. And if that is an experience that's presenting itself in your world, it is an opportunity to be able to explore within your own very, can be extremely deep experiences of unsafety. Let me give you an example. And even if we're talking about, dark energies, we're talking about demons. I had a client once who definitely did have a demon around her, entering into her world, entering into even her physical experience, her physical bodily experience. And as we explored more and more, this demon is another form of her, another reality of her in another existence. And once we were able to explore very, very deeply her experience as a child of being at the mercy of and terrified by experiences as a child. And it doesn't take much to terrify a child. It doesn't take much for a child to feel the anger or high energy or explosiveness of an adult experiencing that as a monster coming at them. In their little minds, especially when they're very, very tiny, that's what it equates to. So when and as we were able to go very, very deeply within her child experience and transmute those pieces, literally the demon in the other world vanished, disappeared, just disconnected from her entirely. She no longer needed that lifetime of hers that she was exploring in that other world and continuing potentially to do so. She no longer needed that prompt, that trigger, to be able to go inside and find the human representation of that, transmute that on a deep emotional basis, and then feel the safety and security that comes from that. It's an automatic. Your relationship with the divine and with energies that you do choose to be in relationship with strengthens and becomes more clear, and your communication with those aspects of you or guides or helpers, however you want to look at it. And there are different ways to look at it. So that protection or lack of protection that she experienced as a child is her chosen parameters or limitations or confinements or signs, if you will, to explore other aspects of her in this work, we go through the childhood experience because there is nothing more intense. There is nothing that has more experience physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically simultaneously. A child feels everything down to their little atoms. So it that is the reason for coming here as a human. You can explore things, experience things, discover things, resolve things, complete things, bring things to a different level. These are all soul things I'm referring to, like nowhere else in the universe. So it is a great adventure and benefit to come here. So the many people who say, "Oh, I don't want to be here. I never wanted to be here," those are born out of human experiences. For your soul leaves and immediately turns around with a new plan, a continuation of that plan, whatever it may be, and gets back here as quickly as possible. This is Disney World of the universe. Not to mention the fact that those people that are on a very, let's call it high level soul project exploration, or another way of saying that, big ass souls, are here not only to do their own soul project, but that interfaces with the potential, or what was the potential, now it is a fact, of evolution of this planet. So let me back up a little bit. Protection is a very interesting, thing to explore, a very interesting experience as a human. And again, when I'm referring to protection, it is oftentimes someone seeking another or some form or mode of protection outside of themselves. And again, born out of one's experience, chosen experiences of childhood, so that that can be explored. We are exploring that on the macrocosm of certainly this country and this world right now, because we have constant manifestation of endangerment by government leaders, religious leaders, threats to our very existence going on right now. Many of you may have seen the post that I put earlier this week of the EPA, which is our government department of environmental protection, as a matter of fact, that investigates and finds evidence or lack of evidence about a certain product or chemical constituent or something within our environment that is endangering us, and then can regulate that by restricting it from being in our food, in our environment. Now, 2 items this week were deemed dangerous by the EPA, finally, after a long time of investigation. One of those was a chemical utilized in dry cleaning. And if any of you have gotten your dry cleaning back and, been knocked over by a particular chemical smell, it may very well have been that one. And at the moment, I don't remember the other. You can look on my posts, and the full article is there. But if this, and this is a chosen aspect of our government. In other words, it is within the construct of a democracy that allows for the people to choose, and giving, rights and freedom to corporate entities, businesses, etc., always and when it doesn't put the public at risk. And we in our choices of voting and in our involvement, are able to decide whether that department, whether those officials are following what we deem best for us. Now, in the previous administration, those that headed up the EPA were actually working with or in conjunction with certain corporations that allowed them to, or that caused them, or they chose to decrease regulation, eliminate certain regulations in regard to dangerous chemicals, one of them being Roundup. There was a lot of argument. And it turns out that the head of the EPA at that point was very linked to some of these corporations, had received a great deal of money. Now, that sounds like politics, but it is not. It is actually our evolutionary process, because so many people are being affected by chemicals, not only in physical health, cancer causing, etc., but our very minds are being affected. Many of the chemicals that are in candles and those plug-ins and etc. are endangering us, and there is evidence, but it has to be investigated more to decide whether those are so dangerous that they need to be limited or eliminated. Now, what does that have to do with personal protection? It is a larger scale of the expectation or taking for granted that there is a governmental agency, that part of our government is going to protect us. Just as children come into this world with the expectation, with the natural given right that they will be protected. Now, both mother and father hold various forms of protection, and when those are not in place for a child, then they will continue to feel that lack, feel the fear of being unprotected, and continuously seek outward modes or outward entities or outward human beings that will apparently protect them. So oftentimes what appears to be a strong man that is going to protect them because he's strong, because he's loud, because he's, saying he will. Again, whether it's a government representative or whether it's a religious representative or whether it's a corporate representative in this case. Corporations are constantly saying, whether it's pharma, we are protecting you with the medications that we're creating. We are protecting you with the, foods that we give you. It is a false protection, because unless and until there is the deep integrity and honor and moral principles that protect those that they are serving, then the bottom line is always going to win out. And if that costs people their lives, their livelihood, their health, their land, it doesn't matter. And I'm not demonizing particular representations in our world, but the fact that this has been something we have been exploring and studying throughout the past 5, 7, 8,000 years. And it is not sustainable. It is at its end, which is why we see such a push to by the dark, if you will, by those that benefit and have benefited throughout time by keeping people controlled and suppressed and powerless, which are which is the experience of a child. So we have many people following or believing in, or in our case, in our country, voting for strong men, appear to be a strong man, but in fact are abusers and endangering those that are seeking their protection. So, of course, there appeared another client this week who had an experience in therapy many years ago and uncovered the fact that her father touched her inappropriately. And the shock that came from that was so much so that after she left therapy, she was basically having a lot of physical reactions, ending up in almost a fetal position, because the process was not carried through fully. It was uncovered, it was touched into, but it did not complete itself in that particular method of therapy. And so she is continuing to feel threatened and to feel as if both her professional life is constantly endangering her, that her finances are endangering her, that her government is endangering her, and that even more fully, she does not feel the protection of her divine helpers. So it carries itself or replicates itself all the way out. Now, why would someone choose to have that experience? Why would someone choose to feel as a child the particular flavor of male protection that should come from a father, that is ingrained, innate, instinctive, innate in a child to have in place? It is their right, it is their expectation, it is natural. You see it in the animal kingdom as well. If there is a threat to the cubs, there often is a male that will attack. If the male isn't there, the female will. So there are particular forms of protection that should come from both parents. In the instance of my client, she not only was not protected from danger by her father, but was actually endangered by her father. And when she went to her mother for help, her mother dismissed it. And so, again, the lack of protection. So that stays embedded. It wasn't just one incident, of course, but that was the one that fixated it in her system. And so she remains with this deep physical in her little body, in her energy field, in her cells, in her not in her memory, not a conscious memory, but in her subconscious or unconscious memory. And then it continues to manifest itself or replicate itself with different players, but still the same dynamic. In order to give her the opportunity to be triggered, catalyzed, until such time as she finds a method or a means by which she can explore it very, very deeply, uncover, discover, transmute, or even transfigure that piece, where then she's at such a depth of feeling for herself that she will take steps to protect herself, not as a disconnect from what's going on in her world, but from a clearer, wider perspective, more conscious perspective, if you will, and not place herself in danger. And even more deeply, feel the care and adoration of herself that she wants to make herself secure and feels herself secure in this world, no matter what goes on outside, because she has that depth of security and safety within. Automatically, her connection, relationship, communication with her helpers, guides, teachers comes online or amplifies, which creates another huge level of security or safety within the sense of, I constantly have someone to turn to. I constantly have information. I constantly have help. I constantly have people surrounding me, beings surrounding me. I am safe and secure because I have proof of that. I have proof of that in my daily life with synchronicities, with messages, with information, with opportunities, with delight. And that process, and one step more, is that feeling of safety and security within the universe, within the cosmos, within the oneness, because that endangerment and fear created separation when she was a child. And that deep sense of being separate or not unified and in sync with a parent, because they're not doing what the child's innate, intuitive, instinctive, primordial expectations are. And that separation is removed once she's achieved that level of transmutation and transfiguration. You automatically feel the oneness. You automatically feel the safety within this universe. And that has a wide swath of effect here on this planet and beyond, because that separation, that endangerment, again, is rather primitive, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, we have chosen as a group of souls, very large group of souls, to evolve, which means to convert those primal, low, base ways of being to their higher forms. And this particular client of mine chose to do so at a very, very, very deep level, which will affect the environment she's in. She's in the medical world, and it will affect or evolve the way in which right now our medical system endangers us and does not protect us in the way that it could, would, should, according to our needs and our desires. Because of finances, because of the way, the perspective of, it not being holistic, there's many different reasons. But that is and will evolve as each individual evolves. So she will have a large effect in the medical community, not because she's in there active, as an activist or changing things or fighting, but because the energy of her evolved state literally changes the dynamic of every setting that she's in. It will also affect our larger scale of our country. And we're all in this right now. The more each of us evolve, the more our national experience will evolve, the more our planetary experience will evolve. But that does entail all of us being involved and all of us taking a stand and taking part in this. That is the evolution of humans, that's the evolution of a soul. None of us are victims. A child is, because they have no alternatives and they are trapped in that situation. But we as adults are not. So we get these prompts, these catalysts, these triggers to be able to explore and constantly evolve ourselves, and thereby whatever setting, whatever family, whatever community, whatever country, whatever planet we are on. So I would invite you to explore your sense of protection, how you feel you need to be protected, where you are not feeling protected, why you feel there needs to be an outside source of protection, perhaps, whether it is something as simple as a superstitious act, you know, not walking under a ladder, knocking on wood, whatever it may be, or something as large as, feeling the endangerment through our governmental agencies that appear to not put us first, that appear to be doing everything possible to look out for themselves and those that are in their circle at the detriment or cost of us. So that's a very large scale, and we must be involved on all of them. So I encourage you to watch very closely what is going on. Certainly, let's say in the governmental department of the EPA, because that decides what chemicals go in our body through our food, through our air, through our water, through products that we use and have in our home, ingest, soaps, etc. So this is all hands on deck. I've said it before and I'm saying it again. It's all hands on deck. You chose to be here at this time to be a significant player. And the more you participate in your own process of transmutation, transfiguration, evolution, the more that affects the large scale. So it is from the microcosm to the macrocosm, because you are a player on this planet and in the universe. The universe is evolution. So that's the theme right now. We have a lot of helpers. We have what's been showing up this week a great deal are the Pleiades. And if you're not familiar, I would invite you to look up both astronomically. They are seven, they're also referred to as the Seven Sisters. Almost every culture, every ancient culture on the planet had a connection with, assigned great import to the Pleiades. Oftentimes they are within ancient tribal cultures' creation stories as where we actually come from. So they're here to help us, guide us in this process of moving from one level of existence and exploration to an evolved level. And certainly if, according to some of those ancient tribal cultures, where they are our progenitors and they are our teachers and they are an example that they have evolved out of the levels that we are experiencing now. So we have the Pleiades are very strong this week. We have the Geminid meteor shower. If you have an opportunity to see them, I would encourage you to do so. This is one of the strongest of the year. And despite the bright moon that we have, you are still going to be able to see them. And that's very powerful in and of itself because, you know, usually the moonlight will disperse the light from the falling stars, the meteors, and yet both are here. So I will be still presenting on the 20th, a solstice event, and we are going to be working with a wide variety of forms of light. Normally, light is within the electromagnetic spectrum, but there are many different forms of light beyond the electromagnetic spectrum, and there are new forms of light showing up to, again, bring us very sophisticated, very unlike any other form of light that has previously been in the universe, again, to kind of give us a shove or to rapidly help us evolve. So we have the Geminid shower. Aldebaran. Aldebaran is a fascinating star with great mythology surrounding it from almost all the ancient cultures. Please look into the mythology. It's known as the Eye of the Bull. It's also known as the follower of the Pleiades. It's also known as, in some instances, a watchful eye. So, again, that sense of protection. We have various other constellations helping us right now. I would encourage you to be aware of them. I'll try to post more, but they're all based, our stars and our constellations are based in mythology from ancient cultures. And it's their experience with the non physical that created those myths. It was also direct communication from sources that we now see as only mythological or legend or, you know, unsophisticated. But in fact, they were direct experiences of ancient people. So Aldebaran is one that shows up in many, many, many cultures. The Inuit in Roman mythology, in Native American mythology, in Hindu mythology, in Persian mythology, Babylonia, Mesopotamia. So that's just a few. And I would encourage you to be aware of the stars that are presenting themselves, the constellations, and explore the mythology. You may come across words or names of beings, and they are coming to you to assist you. And they're coming here to assist all of us. So those are in the mix today. One of the oils that I've been really having a relationship with this week is called One Heart and One Voice, both of these. And these are Young Living essential oils. I would encourage you, if you already have an account, to explore both of those. And I'm always here if you want to consult the oils. They speak to me and tell me what is ideal for you, and then you have the choice of ordering or not. We also have various forms of how can I word this? Cosmic energetics. And I know that sounds very wide and very ethereal and very non-specific, but when you tap into the cosmos, either if you feel it outside of yourself and you in the center of it, or if you feel the cosmos within you, there is such potential to remember that this momentary experience here, not to dismiss it or diminish it in any way, but is only one very small part of you. and that it is also very purposeful for you as an individuation of that one have chosen very specifically and very pointedly the limitations, the confinements, the parameters of this life for specific purpose. Individual soul purpose that therein interfaces and has side effects, if you will, in the larger evolution of this planet and the galaxy itself and the universe itself. I know that sounds large, but I want you to really realize the breadth of you and really realize the power of you and the purposefulness of you, and that you actually can affect change. Not by creating a protective bubble, not by warding things off, or not wanting to see the dark, not wanting to know about the dark, however you want to define that, not wanting to feel into the political and worldwide events that are going on. That is only creating more separation. It is creating more polarity between the two. It is not until we work with those dark pieces within, whether it was the client that I mentioned who experienced a demon and it turned out to be actually another existence of her, or whether it was the other client I mentioned who experienced the endangerment through her father and her transfiguration of that to then experience no danger, whether in this world, in her life, or in the universe itself. That is the potential that we have here. So I'm also going to, as usual, invite in the elements: earth, air, fire, and water, particularly this week in their elemental presentation through forms of dragons. So dragons have been very present. They always are for me. There's representations of them around my house, my home, my healing space. And they are from different worlds, but oftentimes are more linked to an element. A great transmission of that is through the movie Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, where you can experience a dragon aligned with the element of water. It's a beautiful representation of the dragon, and you can see in that movie how it pulls its energy and sources from water and is then able to be as powerful as it is to defeat the dark monster or demon that shows up in that movie. And although it looks like a story, just like the myths look like story, you can access that transmission. It is an energetic transmission, definitely coming through that movie, of a water dragon. And again, through the mythology, the energy from Aldebaran, one of the primary stars. It's the brightest star in the sky. It's the red star, so you can see it easily with the naked eye, and allow yourself to feel and experience and link with that star, and then explore the mythology, and you'll know which story from which ancient culture most aligns with you, not only maybe very deeply on another existence level, but also how it may assist you at this moment in time. So we have those helpers in the mix. And as we drop in a little bit right now, we are going to allow for other helpers to show up. And I would invite you, if you're here live, to please comment, to please mention anything that either shows up for you right now, or any other helpers or energetics that have been presenting themselves to you, for you over the past weeks. About 10 days, 2 weeks. So I invite you to just allow yourself to feel your butt bones, if you can find them easily, quickly, on the chair, on the couch, on the floor, wherever you may be seated. And I do encourage you to sit, because it allows for the opening of the channel of your spine, your primary energetic channel. There's many other structures, your axis, many other structures that are embedded within your field, or that are within your field, and can be accessed when there is a fluid movement of energy through your spine. And that's best done when you're seated with your feet on the floor. And again, a lot of information, a lot of concepts, a lot of opening through the talk, through the examples brought in. So I encourage you to do some breathing. Initially, just allow for your breath to do whatever and however, in whatever rhythm it is showing up right now. No forcing, no working, just allowing that breath and that air to move through you in its own way. And after a few breaths, if you so choose, I would invite you to extend the exhale. Extend it a goodly amount longer than the inhale, for that activates the vagus nerve, which will drop you very quickly into a state of relaxation when that vagus nerve is activated. So inhaling and then exhaling much longer than the inhale. And that vagus nerve runs from the base of your skull all the way through your stomach, so your intestines, your abdomen. So if you are having at any time any challenges with your intestines, then I would invite you to do some vagal breathing that not only puts you in a state of relaxation, but it allows for energy and movement of the intestinal tract, all the tissues, cells, etc. within them. Science recently finding brain neurons in the intestines. So there is a very strong brain, intestines, abdomen connection. As a matter of fact, another article is the idea right now, there's pharmaceutical formulas that are addressing depression through the intestines. In other words, addressing the intestines and these brain neurons to affect depression and other emotional challenges. So as you're breathing, really allow. Allow is a challenge for most of us, because we always want to do. We think we have to effort. We think we have to work to make something happen. When in actuality, when we allow, Our system, our energy field, our deeper knowing takes over and has everything it needs to be able to do this for us. It knows without us having to tell it, without any intention, without any goal, without any focus. As a matter of fact, there's a tendency for training people to go into meditation through their third eye, which actually is not anywhere near as effective as when you are dropping down and in your own inner verse. For your system knows exactly how and in what pace and in what form to bring you to a deeper state of yourself. Higher mind is fine, but it is actually rather confining, for it generally taps into the electromagnetic spectrum, and we are so much more. And you may very well have as your primary energetic a different sourcing than the electromagnetic spectrum. So I really invite you and encourage you to allow yourself to just keep sinking down and in, down and in. No effort, no push, no work, no do. Your energy field, your wider self or your soul self knows exactly what is ideal for you. Simply sit, simply breathe, continue the vagal breathing if you feel so called. For that, again, relaxes, brings you into a deeper state, potentially even into a semi-altered state. For there is a very, very, very strong transmission coming through at this moment. And the more you can drop into you, the more you may potentially experience that physically, energetically, spiritually, or even in an unknown way. But know that because this is you, you are dropping into you. You are encountering your own inner verse. You are allowing your wider self to be more fully present in you as you, your soul self. And of course, your wider soul self knows what is ideal for you in this moment, in this space, in this time. Within this framework of this 3D reality and more. For once we drop into that inner verse and you are allowing your wider self, your soul self, to drive, so to speak, we move beyond the confines of this third dimensional reality with its confinements of time, linear time, and move into time spaces where there is timelessness, no time, or other forms of time that are not linear, sequential. Which thereby allows for extremely rapid movement, shift, change, transformation. Even in this short period of time. And because this is your wider self, your soul self, and all your many other selves that are stepping forward at this point in time, there is thereby no no danger, no need for protection, no need for any form of hesitation. For this is you are sinking into. This is your other selves that are assisting, leading, guiding, knowing exactly what to bring and where to bring you. Ignore the words. They are unimportant. Simply allow yourself to feel and sink in ever more deeply to you. And as such, you can feel and experience and be with aspects of you, existences of you, tapping in and channeling or allowing the channeling from other yous into this human you. Supporting, infusing, expanding, your felt sense of yourself. And the more deeply you drop in and allow yourselves to meet your human self, you remember the width and breadth and depth of you. Not merely remember mentally, but you remember, bringing those members of you, incorporating into this physical life, this physical human you. Experiencing the eternality of you, and thereby, with that very knowing, comes the felt sense of what in human terms is protection. For as a wide, multi-existential self, there is nothing to fear. There is nothing that can harm. There is nothing that can diminish in any way with that knowing deep in your bones, deep in your cells, deep in your atoms, deep in your subatomic particles. You presence yourself on this planet in a wholly different way. Deeply connected, deeply aware, deeply participative in your own life, in the evolutionary process of this planet, of this species. ever renewing your commitment and decision to be here. Doing, working on, exploring, experiencing the soul project you set out to. And the adventure therein. For as you deeply experience your eternal self, this is merely an adventure, another of so many. And if you choose, you may stay in this energy, in this energetic, sacred geometric configuration, and revel and experience and drop in evermore. For no matter when you decide to return to this more consensus reality, you will be completely integrated and embodied. And should you choose to return now to your day, and in either case you will come back feeling renewed, regenerated, revitalized, with excitement and anticipation of the continuation of this adventure. This earth adventure. Realizing that the more you participate, the more you explore, the more you transfigure, the more freedom you have. So until next time, every Friday at 12, no, actually this coming from here on, we're going to move to 1 o'clock on Fridays for at least the next few weeks. And there's still time to register for the solstice, where we're going to be exploring many different forms of light and working with the elements to cleanse, let's call it, and reset your system. And I also encourage you to take advantage of the raffle gift box, the Christmas gift box, or rather holiday gift box that I have posted. Just $15 donation to any of the 3 organizations, the Camden Rescue Mission, the Last Resort Wildlife Refuge, or the Valley Relief for the North Carolina people. And I'll put your name in, and someone on the solstice, I'll be pulling the name, someone will win a session $222 towards a longer session or a shorter session. Would be the 222 plus 3 beautiful oils and other goodies. So please do so, remembering that it's all going to those 3 organizations. And otherwise, I wish you a beautiful weekend, whether you are in the chilly weather that we are here on the East Coast or the moderate. I just spoke to someone in South Florida. I wish you well, and as always, it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on this planet. Until next time, be well.